forester, like he said. What does this day mean for you as a forester? We are celebrating or commemorating a day that is placing all energies on combating desertification and drought. You are a forester. What does this mean?
Okay, what it means to me and also to Uganda, I'll unveil it in that way. The day to combat desertification and drought. But maybe first of all, Kent, with your permission, sir.
Please.
Getting to understand what drought and desertification is also very critical for someone who is out there before we talk about combating it. And so in simple terms, drought for me, the way I understand it, is when you have less rainfall or you don't have any rainfall, lack of rainfall, or you are having less rainfall than you would have expected for a long period of time. And we call that drought. The Baganda call it echeya. And then desertification is where you have an area that was productive, was giving you all the outputs, the results, and then it turns unproductive, that you cannot plant food on it anymore. An example could be an area where James Temble's father was having coffee, and then James grows and wants to notices that there is maram under the soil, and so he sells the maram soil, and then the area becomes unproductive. You've visited areas where they have extracted maram soil, right? So once the maram is taken off, the place is not productive anymore.
Yeah.
So in basic terms, you could look at that scenario as that land turning from being productive to being unproductive. And so this day was put here to remind all of us. The underlined word that actually is combat. So the day is meant to remind us to combat these practices I've just described.
To combat can also be to curb.
To curb, to prevent, to solve, to halt, you know. So this day is to remind us that there are different ways we can do to reverse or reduce or prevent these events, drought and desertification. And so and this year it's being celebrated in Colombia, and of course Colombia has been doing a lot in terms of working towards addressing these issues, and so that's I'm certain that that's the reason why they chose Colombia to host the celebration for this year. And so as Uganda, as a country, it is a wake-up call, and it's us, and I appreciate you for the air, that we need to be talking about these things. What does desertification cause? What will it lead us into? And then how do we solve it? Okay? What will the drought lead to us? What do we then do to reverse it, to make sure we don't get to this kind of situation? So it's a day, in short, not to bore our listeners, your question, it is a day to remind us that these situations are happening, these events are happening, and this is what we can do to curb them.
All right.
And so I know that along the way we'll be talking about how do we then combat desertification and drought.
You see, from the nomenclature of desertification, it tells us there's deserts attached to it.
Yeah.
Are there no places that God naturally created as deserts? Could it be the Sahara deserts of this world were once vegetation, but they lost their fertility and became what they are? The Kalaharis, the Saharas, and others?
When you look at evolution, not certainly all. Some where the way they are, you will look at areas being rocky. So there are those that have been induced by human activities. And there are those that geologically, that's the word I was looking for, geologically were the way they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. That is James Temple.